Have you ever felt your chest burn after someone disrespected you? That tight knot of anger, betrayal, humiliation? Yeah, I've been there too. They laughed, mocked, talked behind your back. But what if I told you the most powerful response isn't loud at all? Everyone expects you to react when they cut you down. But silence? Oh, silence can shake their soul louder than any words ever could. You know the feeling. Someone disrespects you, cuts you down with words that slice deeper than they seem. Maybe they mocked your dreams, whispered behind your back, or humiliated you in front of others. And inside, a fire lights up. Your instincts scream, clap back, defend yourself, prove them wrong now. But what if I told you, you don't have to say a single word? That's right. Silence. Not weakness, not retreat, but focus. True, unshakable focus. Because silence, when used right, is one of the greatest weapons you will ever wield. See, people who throw shade at you, they're hoping for a show. They want to get a rise out of you. They want to see you flinch, cry, shout, or spiral. Why? Because if you react emotionally, they win. That insult, it landed. You just confirmed it. But when you stay cool, unmoved, your silence becomes deafening. It echoes louder than their cheap words ever could. It tells them, I don't have time to wrestle with people beneath the purpose God placed on my life. Listen, strength isn't in how loud you yell. Real strength, it's in how deeply you stay grounded. The world forgets those who shout back, but it never forgets the ones who rise quietly and keep rising. Every second spent trying to get even is a second stolen from your calling. Don't hand them that power. There's a moment in Scripture, Jesus standing before Pilate, accused, mocked, provoked, but did he respond? Number, not a word. Because when you already know who you are, you don't waste breath trying to prove it to small minds. When your destiny is divine, you don't argue with people too bitter to see beyond their own limits. That's how you truly make them regret disrespecting you. Not by stooping low, but by rising so high they can't reach you. Let your life be the response they never expected. Let your growth shout louder than any comeback. Let your transformation be their silence. You might be in a season right now where people think you're weak because you don't fire back. They say you're soft because you didn't respond. But oh, if only they knew. What they see as silence is actually a storm building, what they call weakness. That's your strategy preparing to roar through results. Let them laugh. Let them talk. While they're busy gossiping, you're quietly building. While they're throwing dirt, you're laying bricks. And one day, they'll look up, and there you are standing on the platform they helped build without even knowing it. Those same people, the ones who mocked your pain, who doubted your worth, they'll see you on stages they were never invited to, hear your name in rooms they can't enter, and realize they weren't mocking weakness, they were underestimating the unstoppable. But don't chase revenge. Don't aim to make them regret it. Instead, chase your calling with such passion, such fire, that regret becomes the inevitable result of their mistake. Because God doesn't need their approval to bless your path. He just needs your obedience. Every time you choose grace over gossip, focus over fights, silence over shouting, you flip the power dynamic. You become unshakable. And when you're unshakable, you're untouchable. So if someone disrespected you lately, lied on your name, laughed at your pain, don't get distracted. You've got work to do. Mountains to climb, people to inspire, lives to impact. You weren't meant to get stuck in the mud with those who were never built for your journey. They wanted your attention. Don't give them that. Give them silence. Then give them something even louder. A focused, unstoppable, purpose-driven version of you. Let your silence become the storm they never saw coming. And this This is just the beginning. Because what comes next? That's where the story gets even more powerful. Before we turn the page, drop a comment below if you've ever had to choose silence over drama. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, we've only just started. Last time, we talked about the power of silence, how your quiet strength can be louder than any insult. But here's the thing, sometimes your silence doesn't just protect your peace, it threatens their chaos. Your light, it exposes their insecurity. Your peace, it unsettles their storm. And your strength, oh, it reminds them of everything they lack inside. So what do? Instead of fixing the cracks in their own mirror, they try to shatter yours. But hear me, don't lower yourself just to match their level. Don't dim your light just because they can't handle the brightness. When they go low, you go higher, every single time. Not because you're afraid, not because you're weak, but because you know exactly who you are. You were never built for petty arguments or shallow back and forths with small-minded people. You're on a mission too big to waste time in the mud. And when someone curses you, belittles your name, tries to drag you through shame, you don't have to follow them into the dirt. Because the moment you do, you start to resemble the very thing you're rising above. See, when you let their brokenness shape your response, you're letting fragments guide your path, and you can't walk in wholeness when your steps are led by the fractured. I get it, it hurts, that sting lingers. You lie in bed replaying every word they said, mentally drafting the perfect comeback. We've all been there. But that loop, that mental movie, it's a trap. Every second you spend reliving their insult is a second stolen from your growth. That time could have been used to pray, to plan, to level up, to heal, to step so fully into your calling that no words can shake you again. Remember Jesus? When they spat on him, mocked him, cursed him, nailed him to a cross, he didn't clap back. He didn't summon fire. He didn't yell. Why? Because he knew his purpose. He understood his worth. And when you truly know your worth, you don't need to explain it to anyone. Some of you, you're still trying to prove your value to people too broken to even recognize it. You're trying to justify your heart to people who made up their minds to misunderstand you from the start. Don't fall into that trap. Don't waste your breath explaining yourself to those committed to dishonoring you. Walk away not because you lost, but because you've already won. You chose peace over pettiness, and that is a victory they'll never understand. They might call you arrogant. Let them talk. They might call you fake. Let them gossip. They might twist your silence into weakness. Let them. Because the truth will speak. Your fruit will speak. Your growth, your discipline, your consistency, it'll all speak louder than any argument ever could. There's a reason why eagles don't chase flies. Why lions don't bark back. Because when you know who you are, you don't have to fight to be seen. The ones who disrespect you, they're hoping for a reaction. That's the only power they think they have. But when you refuse to respond, when you walk away with your head high, you snatch that power right out of their hands. And listen, God sees it all. Every jab, every lie, every betrayal hidden behind fake smiles. He doesn't sleep on injustice. He doesn't forget. But he's not asking you to settle the score. He's asking you to trust him enough to let him handle what you can't. And he will. In his way, in his time. Some of you are being attacked not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're in the right position. Your presence is a threat. Your light is too bright. Your peace is too real. They don't know how to handle that, so they try to destroy what they can't control. But you're not here to be understood. You're here to be elevated. And hear me, elevation often requires separation. So let God lift you, even as they keep digging the pit they hoped you'd fall into. Don't come down from your calling just to respond to someone who isn't even in the same race. You're running towards something eternal. Why waste your breath on voices that won't even matter 5 years from now? Their words don't put your destiny at risk, but your refusal to engage, that's what they'll regret. You rise above, always. Because one of the greatest victories you will ever win is not over them, it's over you. That moment when someone disrespects you, says something reckless, looks you in the eye and tries to tear you down. You feel it, don't you? That burning in your chest, that tremble in your hands, that voice saying, say something. That's not weakness, that's the battlefield. And if you can conquer that battlefield, if you can rise above that fire inside and choose calm over chaos, you've already won. We live in a world that trains us to react. Clap back, post the screenshot, prove your point. But God, He's calling you to something higher. He doesn't just want to bless your future, He wants to build your character. Because blessings without character, they crumble fast. And hear this, loud and clear. A person who can't control their emotions will always be controlled by them. If the enemy can't block your purpose, he'll try to hijack your response. If he can't stop your calling, he'll try to bait you into emotional chaos. And that's where many of us fall. It's not the insult that destroys us, it's our response. It's not what they said, it's what we let linger in our spirit. We dwell, we replay, we start speaking from pain instead of purpose. But I'm here to remind you today, you are stronger than your first reaction. Just because something rises up inside you doesn't mean it has to come out. You're not a slave to your emotions. You're not a prisoner to the heat of the moment. You are a child of God, and you've been given power, love, and a sound mind. Think about that. A sound mind. Clear, steady, focused. So even in the middle of the storm, you don't lose yourself. You don't break character. You don't let chaos define you. The ones who try to provoke you, they're hoping you forget who you are, that you forget what you're building. Because once you're emotional, you're no longer strategic. Once you're offended, you lose focus. Once you're angry, you step out of alignment with peace. And that's when they win. But there's a better way forward. And in the next part, we're going to talk about how to protect your calling and use your pain to fuel your purpose. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or drop a comment if this message is speaking to something deep inside you. Let's keep growing together. Let me tell you something that might change your whole outlook. You don't have to live constantly reacting to other people's dysfunction. You don't have to let their disrespect dictate your direction or steal your peace. Because that person who disrespected you, they weren't just trying to hurt your feelings, they were trying to distract you from your destiny. They wanted to bait you into a battle so they could delay your focus, slow your momentum, derail your purpose. But you have the power to say, number. When someone throws fire at you, you don't have to burn. You can rise. Some of you are exhausted, and I don't mean just physically. I mean emotionally, spiritually drained, because you've been fighting too many battles that were never yours to fight. You've poured your energy into trying to be understood, to be respected, to be heard by people who were never listening in the first place. But hear this, respect from people isn't guaranteed, but peace from God, that's a promise. And once you have that kind of peace, deep, anchored, unwavering peace, you stop chasing approval. You stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided they won't understand you. You stop shrinking to fit into rooms that were never built for your growth. God is raising up men and women who know how to stand still in the fire. People who can hold their tongue when everything in them wants to speak. Who can pray when they want to scream. Who can walk away when revenge seems justified. Who can forgive even when it hurts. That's not weakness. That's warfare on a higher level. The world might not applaud it, but heaven does. Because self-control, that's not just discipline. That's the evidence of God's Spirit working in your life. And when someone disrespects you and you respond with grace, something powerful happens. They lose their grip on your emotions. Their insults don't shake you. Their tone no longer controls you. And over time, that becomes their consequence. To watch you still rising, still glowing, still joyful, still walking in purpose, completely untouched by their bitterness. That's how you win without saying a word. It starts producing strength, clarity, wisdom, and focus, the kind that comfort could never create. Because here's what people miss. When someone disrespects you, they think they're tearing you down. That's how you take your power back, not by raising your voice, but by raising your standard. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to pick up every insult tossed your way. Let it fall, let it pass, let God deal with it. Your job? Stay grounded, stay connected, stay locked into your purpose. Because the people trying to provoke you today, they're just noise on the road to something far greater tomorrow. And when you get there, when you step into that season you've been praying for, you'll look back and thank God you didn't let temporary emotions ruin permanent progress. You don't prove strength by clapping back. You prove it by walking away with peace, still intact. There is something sacred that happens when you take pain, and you refuse to let it break you. When you turn what was meant to destroy you into something that builds you instead. That's what God does with pain. He never wastes it. He transforms it. So if you've ever been disrespected, overlooked, betrayed, or underestimated, I need you to hear this. That pain, it has purpose. Pain is one of the sharpest tools in God's hands, but it's the one tool we often run from. We hate how it feels. We hate what it reminds us of. We hate how it rattles our confidence. But if you can just hold on, if you can lean into God instead of leaning into bitterness, something beautiful happens. That pain, it starts turning into power. What they don't realize is that God is using their insult as fuel for your elevation. What someone meant for harm, God turns into the very reason you rise. In fact, some of the biggest breakthroughs in life come right after the deepest betrayals. Some of your strongest growth, it'll show up after someone told you you're not enough. So don't run from that pain. Don't numb it. Don't drown it. Let it teach you. Let it sharpen you. Let it drive you closer to your calling. I've seen people broken by pain, and I've seen people built by it. The difference is what they chose to do with it. Pain doesn't have to make you bitter. It can make you better. But you've got to make a decision. You've got to say, I'm not going to let this disrespect define me. I'm going to let it refine me. You've got to look at every cruel word spoken about you, and instead of letting it pierce your heart, let it ignite your spirit. Some of you, you've been through storms no one knows about. You've cried in silence. You've smiled through pain. You've stayed quiet while people tried to ruin your name. But listen to me, every tear, every wound, every ache, God saw it. He hasn't forgotten. And not only will He heal you, He'll use what hurts you to bless you. That's the kind of God we serve. He doesn't just lift you. He lifts you in front of the very ones who tried to pull you down. And yes, it's tempting to let pain harden your heart. To say, I'll never trust again. I'll never open up again. I'll never be vulnerable again. But be careful. In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when pain builds walls around your heart and how to break them without losing yourself. If this message hit home, comment, I'm choosing peace, below, and don't forget to subscribe. The next part is where it gets even more real. Last time, we reminded ourselves, don't let pain harden your heart, let it shape your purpose. And now, let's go one step further. Because if you're not careful, That pain can do something even more dangerous. It can shut you off, not just from people, but from your purpose. You see, when you build walls out of pain, you don't just keep out the ones who hurt you, you keep out healing, you keep out growth, you keep out the next chapter God is trying to write in your life. So yes, let the pain strengthen you, let it teach you, let it grow you, but don't let it steal your softness. Don't let it poison your heart. Let it sharpen your spirit, not harden it. Let it make you wise, not weary. Let it guide you back to the one who never changes, even when people do. Because there's something powerful, even dangerous, about someone who's been through the fire and didn't burn. Someone who's been through pain, but didn't quit. That kind of person walks with quiet power. The kind that doesn't have to scream to be heard. When your life tells the story, your voice doesn't have to. When your transformation speaks, you don't have to clap back because that becomes your revenge. And that, my friend, is how you make them regret disrespecting you. Not with a fight, but with focus. Not with bitterness, but with becoming. Becoming so disciplined, so grounded in your purpose, so locked into what really matters that their insult becomes nothing more than a footnote in your testimony. The truth is, some of the most successful people didn't start out loved or applauded. They started out rejected. They were told, "You're not good enough. You're too much. You'll never make it." But they didn't quit. They didn't fold. They didn't sink into bitterness. They took every insult and turned it into fuel. Every closed door, and turned it into a prayer. Every painful season, and turned it into a stepping stone. And over time, the same people who mocked them had no choice but to watch them succeed. But listen, don't let success become about proving something. That's a shallow finish line. Don't spend your life trying to get even. Spend it trying to get aligned. Aligned with your assignment. Aligned with your calling. Aligned with God's plan, not people's opinions. Use the pain to drive you deeper into prayer, into purpose, into clarity. Let it purify your motives. Let it bring you back to what truly matters. Because when you rise with a clean heart, not only will they regret hurting you, but you'll inspire others who are hurting too. So if you've ever been disrespected, overlooked, betrayed, don't bury the pain. Transform it. Let it fuel the version of you they never saw coming. Let it make you wiser, stronger, more faithful, more focused. Because once pain becomes your fuel, your future becomes unstoppable. Let your scars be proof, not of what broke you, but of what grace rebuilt in you. There comes a moment, and maybe it's this moment, where you have to stop chasing the approval of people who were never qualified to define your worth in the first place. You've got to stand in front of the mirror and declare, "I am who God says I am, not who people say I am." Because if you live for their applause, you'll die from their silence. If your value rises and falls based on their moods, you'll be stuck on an emotional roller coaster your whole life. And that is not the life you were made for. When someone disrespects you, their goal is simple: make you feel small, make you question yourself, make you shrink. They want you to believe that their opinion holds power over your future. But here's the truth. You don't need their respect to walk in your calling. You don't need their validation to be valuable. Your worth was never up for debate. It was already settled by the one who made you. And once you believe that, truly believe it, everything starts to change. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to convince people who never saw you clearly in the first place. You stop wasting your energy defending what God has already approved. Instead, you invest in yourself. You pour into your purpose. You walk in quiet confidence, not loud, but undeniable. And even then, even when you love fully, give freely, Go the extra mile. There will still be people who can't receive you. And that's not your fault. Because broken people often project their own pain onto those around them. And if you're not careful, you'll start adjusting yourself to please people who were never meant to carry your truth. You'll start watering yourself down just to seem less intimidating. You'll start hiding your light so they don't feel insecure around you. But hear me, that's not strength. That's self-abandonment. You weren't created to beg for a seat at someone else's table. You were born to build your own. You weren't meant to chase after people who left. You were meant to walk forward, even if it means walking alone for a season. Because the right people, they won't make you question your worth. They'll see you, they'll value you, they'll honor you. But even their approval isn't your foundation. Your worth comes from the one who formed you in the secret place, who looked at you and said, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made." So don't anchor your identity in the opinions of people who don't even know your full story. Don't let the words of critics carry more weight than the voice of your Creator. Because sometimes, and this might sting, the reason they can't value you is because they've never valued themselves. Sometimes, the reason they disrespect you is because they're intimidated by what you carry. And if you're not grounded, you'll spend your whole life trying to prove them wrong instead of simply living out what God put inside of you. In the next part, we'll talk about how to stay grounded in truth when opinions try to shake your identity, and how to live rooted in purpose even when rejection surrounds you. If this message stirred something in your heart, drop "I'm walking in purpose" in the comments and hit that subscribe button. What's next will shift everything. In the end, all the noise they made couldn't stop what God was building in you. So let them talk, let them leave, let them misunderstand, because you're still rising. Let them say what they want. Let them get it wrong. Let them walk away. You just keep building, keep growing, keep healing, keep becoming. Every time they said you weren't enough, use it as fuel not to fight, but to draw closer to the one who already said you are. Every time they pushed you aside, let it push you deeper into your purpose. You don't need to chase them down. You don't need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to fight for their respect. All you need to do is keep becoming. And in time, without a single word, they'll see it. They'll see what you built. They'll see how you rose. They'll see how you stayed focused while they stayed distracted. But by then, you won't even need their recognition, because you'll be walking in a peace that doesn't require applause. You'll be living in purpose that's not tied to people's opinions. You'll be so rooted in your identity that nothing they say or do can shake you anymore. You don't need to be liked to be chosen. And that's when life truly begins. Let their rejection be the moment you finally stopped asking for permission to be powerful. There's something sacred about a comeback. Not the kind that screams, "I told you so," but the kind that quietly proves you were never finished. You don't need followers to be faithful. You don't need man's approval to be used by God. What you do need is to know who you are and who you belong to. And once that's locked in, once that becomes your foundation, you'll stop chasing people and start chasing purpose. You were just hidden. You were being prepared. There's something unstoppable about a person who's been through the fire, been torn down, talked about, and yet still rises. Not bitter, not broken, but better, stronger, wiser. That's the kind of comeback that makes people regret ever disrespecting you. Because it's not just that you made it, it's how you made it. Quietly, boldly, unshaken. See, when someone disrespects you, They expect you to fall apart. They expect you to lose it, to crumble, to quit. But God doesn't build warriors in the spotlight. He shapes them in silence, in secret places. And when the time is right, He doesn't raise you to settle a score. He raises you to fulfill a calling. That's what your comeback is really about. Not proving your enemies wrong, but proving your faith right. Some people thought they were walking away from someone weak. They thought you'd fall apart. They thought their words would destroy you. But instead, their disrespect refined you. While they were talking about you, you were talking to God. While they were tearing you down, He was building you up. And now, without begging, without chasing, without fighting dirty, your growth has become their regret. You didn't need revenge. You kept your hands clean. You kept your heart open. And you let God do what only He could. Lift you in front of the very ones who looked down on you. You didn't curse them. You didn't clap back. You just kept walking one step at a time, one prayer at a time, even when no one noticed, even when no one clapped. And now, look at you. Look at where you are. Look at who you're becoming. This isn't about status. This isn't about proving them wrong. This is about becoming whole, becoming free, becoming so deeply rooted in who you are that no gossip, no shade, no rejection can drag you back into what God already delivered you from. It's about walking in peace where you used to walk in pain. It's about stepping fully into purpose without carrying your past like chains around your ankles. And that, right there, is the kind of victory that humbles your enemies, because they expected a reaction. But what they got was a resurrection. They expected noise. You gave them growth. They expected breakdown. God gave you breakthrough. That's what God does. He takes what was meant to bury you and turns it into the soil where you rise. He takes the disrespect, the betrayal, the rejection, and builds something beautiful from it. And when you rise, you won't rise the same. You'll rise with grace, with wisdom, with compassion, with strength they never saw coming. You won't need revenge because your life will speak loud enough. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Your only job? Keep walking. Keep building. Keep becoming. You don't need to defend yourself. Time will. Your fruit will. Your peace will. And when they finally see who you've become, when they realize what they walked away from, what they tried to tear down, they won't just regret what they said. They'll regret ever doubting what God was doing in you. But listen, don't let that be your reward. Let growth be your reward. Let healing be your reward. Let peace be your reward. Because when you rise with the right heart, for the right reasons, no one can touch the joy God places in your life. And one day, you'll smile. Not because they lost, but because you finally won your soul back. You've come too far to let disrespect pull you back. You've healed too much to fight battles that don't matter anymore. You've grown too much to waste time explaining yourself to people who never truly saw you. And the best part? Now you see you. Now you know who you are. And when you carry that kind of clarity, you carry power. So keep rising, not to impress them, not to silence them, but because God called you higher. And when you reach that place, don't gloat, don't boast. Just keep walking, keep shining, keep living in quiet, undeniable victory, knowing that everything they said you couldn't do, you did it anyway, and you did it with grace. If this message met you right where you are, drop a blank in the comments and share how you're rising with purpose. Make sure to like, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs to hear. You are not done. You're just getting started.